So you have Nautica Voyage, but you're not sure if you should get any of the flankers. So we're going to take a look at each one of the flankers to help determine if these are some fragrances that you need to pick up. I will note that there are several flankers for Nautica Voyage that have been discontinued over the years, and while you still can get them on eBay for a lot of money, those will not be covered in this video. So before we dive into the flankers, I think it's important to at least touch on the original Nautica Voyage. So this fragrance was released in 2006, and it's basically an aquatic and fresh fragrance. It opens up with apple and greens, and it also has kind of a salty aquatic vibe to it. Some people describe this almost like a salty cucumber opening. Overall, the fragrance is very fresh and clean. It's extremely versatile. You can wear this any time of the year, but a lot of people prefer to wear it in the summer months. It also works for any age. It doesn't matter if you're a teen or an older guy. This works either way. It's extremely inoffensive. It's affordable. You can usually find this for under 20 bucks. And it's wildly popular. It is the #1 selling fragrance on Amazon, and it's been that way for years, and there's a reason for that. Okay, so what about any of the flankers? Are they as good as Nautica Voyage? Should you pick any of these up? So when Nautica was released in 2006, they did make several flankers. Over the years, those are discontinued. So the first available one that you can get today is Nautica Voyage N-83, which was released in 2013. So if you compare all the flankers together, this one is going to be the more aquatic take. This one is aquatic, slightly minty, and it has a very sharp herbal component to it in the opening. So while this one is fresh just like the original, it does come off a little bit more clean smelling. So once it settles down, it kind of turns into a aquatic, fresh, and clean fragrance that's slightly musky with a little bit of spice. It kind of has that shower gel vibe going on to it. Projection for N-83 is not great. And as far as longevity, I get about 4 to 6 hours out of this. Out of all the flankers, this is my personal favorite. So a few years after that, in 2016, Nautica released another flanker called Nautica Voyage Sport. So this one opens up with a lot of those synthetic citrus notes. It kind of also has a salty aquatic vibe to it and a lot of clean musk. This one sits extremely light to the skin and has almost no projection. Longevity on this one is the worst out of all of the Nautica Voyage flankers. I get around 2 hours of projection out of this. So while it does have a heavy dose of those synthetic citrus notes in the opening, those fade away fairly quickly, and what you're left with is kind of a soft, clean, and musky scent with a little bit of greens underneath. As far as the use for this, this is a perfect budget gym fragrance. You can spray this on before you go to the gym, work out, shower afterwards. You're not going to offend anybody. You're not going to project too much, but you'll feel like you're smelling clean and you're not being offensive to anybody. So a couple years after Sport was released, they released Nautica Voyage Heritage. So this fragrance is more of a minty and fresh herbal scent. So it opens up with a lot of mint and a little bit of herbs underneath like rosemary and lavender. The prominent note to me in the opening is definitely the mint. It's a very fresh, minty, invigorating, and clean fragrance. There's also a touch of spiciness underneath all of that. So once it dries down, it has a very nice, woody, clean, and minty scent to it. And as far as performance goes, this is about standard to most of the other flankers. I get about 4 to 6 hours and decent projection for about 45 minutes. And then after that, it kind of dies down into a skin scent. So up until this point, the flankers kind of have a common theme to them. They're very fresh, clean, and aquatic. And the last flanker we have is Nautica Midnight Voyage. So this was released in 2020, and this is basically Nautica's take on the blue fragrance market. Similar to fragrances like Prada Luna Rosa Carbon, Dior Sauvage, and anything similar to that. So while they are similar to those types of fragrances, this is missing that citrus and bergamot opening that some of those types of fragrances have. This fragrance is very heavy on pink pepper, amber, and ambroxan. So out of all the flankers, this is definitely the most modern smelling one. So if you like those blue style shower gel type of fragrances like Sauvage, this is something that you may enjoy. However, if you do have a lot of those fragrances, this may come off a bit generic. As you can see from my bottle, it has been used a lot. That would be my teenage son who has worn this a ton. As far as performance goes, this one is more around the 6-hour range, and the projection is much better on this one than any of the other flankers. Although I certainly wouldn't rate this as a strong performer. The price on this one is also a little bit higher as well. So this can be usually found for the low 20s, somewhere around $21 to $25 for the smaller bottle, and you're looking at close to $30 for the larger bottle. I would also say that this one steps the furthest away from the original Nautica Voyage. So out of all of these flankers, which one should you pick up, if any? If you're looking for a clean, fresh, sporty fragrance that just doesn't last long, then Nautica Voyage Sport is probably the best choice for you. If you're looking for a fresh, minty, and invigorating fragrance, I would go with Nautica Voyage Heritage. If you prefer more of an aquatic, salty ocean air type of fragrance with a little bit of mint and woods, then Voyage N-83 is going to be your best bet. And if you're looking for something that's a little bit more modern in the vein of Dior Sauvage, then the only choice here is Nautica Midnight Voyage. Overall, these are decent fragrances. They're very affordable. Most of these you can find for under $20 except for Midnight Voyage, and sometimes you can find that one on sale. But do remember, when you think about buying these types of fragrances, these are sub $20 fragrances, so by no means are these going to be unique and world-class fragrances. So for the price, these are solid fragrances.